everybody, we're going to get started. I just want to thank you all for being here. My name is Maria. I'm the Executive Director of Alternative House. It's beautiful to see such a full room of people today. I want to thank you all for being here as we recognize White Ribbon Day. This is an important movement to stand against gender-based violence and commit ourselves to building a future where safety, respect, dignity, and rights for all, not privileges for some, are promoted. White Ribbon Day is not just about awareness, it's about action. It's about all of us standing and saying, enough. We will not tolerate violence. We will not stay silent. This past year at Alternative House, we served over 2,000 survivors of domestic violence. We have seen resilience, strength, and courage from those survivors who are rebuilding their lives despite the immense barriers that they face. But today, I'd like to talk about the challenges ahead. Recent executive orders have put our work and the lives of survivors at greater risk. Funding for victim services is in jeopardy. Housing resources are becoming more difficult to access. Immigration policies are leading survivors to no longer seek help. And the very systems that should protect them are becoming harder to navigate. For those of us in this room, this means one thing. We must do more. We must speak louder. And we must take action. Violence thrives in silence. It thrives when people look the other way, when society excuses it, and when perpetrators go unchallenged. But here, today, we refuse to be silent. We refuse to let executive decisions strip survivors of their rights. We refuse to let fear win. So I ask you, what will you do? Will you commit to challenging harmful language when you hear it? Will you support survivors by believing them, by ensuring that they have access to safety and stability? Will you call on our leaders to prioritize funding for shelters, housing, and survivor services? White Ribbon Day is about choosing to stand up rather than stand by. It is about recognizing that domestic and sexual violence are not women's issues. They are everybody's issues. And it is about committing today and every day to a world free from violence. Together, we can make that world possible. Together, we can ensure that survivors are not alone. And together, we show that no policy, no barrier will stop us from fighting for justice. So I thank you again for all being here today. This is a critical moment in time for us to support all survivors. And with that, one of our biggest advocates, I'd like to welcome Mayor Rourke up to speak.
Good afternoon. Maria, thank you very much for that opening. And also thank you, Natalie, and the entire Alternative House program for all the countless hours of support that you put in for victims of domestic violence. Joining me here this afternoon to take part in this pledge, we have our Vice Mayor, Paul Rathayem. We have City Councilor Vesna Noon, City Councilor John Dakota. We have members of the Lowell Police Department, as well as Superintendent Greg Houdon. We also are joined by members of the Lowell District Court Probation Department. Thank you for being here. Annabelle Dominguez, our DEI officer. Jake Vitale, representing Vanna Howard here today as well. And City Manager Tom Golden and his administration for joining us here today. Also with being mayor, also work again at the Lowell Probation Department, and we see it every day. Domestic violence and the effects it has on victims. The violence against women, children, intimate partners alike. And it's not just physical, it could be financially, it could be emotionally, threats against children and things like that. And it's so imperative that we have all these supports and all these programs such as the Alternative House to combat this issue that we have. The statistics, we don't have to go over them, but it seems like every year they increase and not decrease. And that's in addition to all the help that victims can get, all the programs that are in place to help eradicate domestic violence. So once again, it's our pleasure, our honor to be here to support such initiatives in this pledge that we're here for today. And it gives me great honor and distinction to introduce our next guest speaker. It's Middlesex District Attorney Marion Ryan. Madam DA.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of today's service. And I echo the thanks to Alternative House, to Maria, to Natalie, to everyone who does this work all of the time. I want to talk about two things. One is where we have come to, and the second is where we need to be going. I've been a prosecutor for a very long time. I have been a prosecutor long enough not only to have handled cases of domestic violence where the victim was the child of somebody who had been a victim, but the grandchild of somebody who had been a victim. And we knew for many years, this is not a business where we want people coming back. It is not a success when we see those generational stories. But largely because of the changes in attitude brought about by the people in this room, we are not in that place right now. And I'll give you a hard example. We, at some point, when I first began in the DA's office, would see every year literally dozens, many dozens of people lose their lives as a result of domestic violence. We would have hundreds of situations where our office, the state police, the Lowell police, and other departments across the county were responding to terrible, terrible incidents. On 2024, and this is a number that I never thought we would get to, and one is too many, but given where we came from, we had 5 episodes of domestic violence that resulted in a loss of life. 5. Over 12 months in a county with 1.8 million people. And again, 1 is too many. But 5 is a number that 10 years ago I never could have imagined we would get to. So, and that is because of the work that's been done. And sometimes we move right over that, but everybody here should take a moment and really savor how you have changed the world. For so many people who will never know your name, who hopefully will never have to be in contact with you, but you, by the work you've done, by the way we have changed people's attitudes around domestic violence, have changed their lives. That is the good news. The concerning news is, of those 5 incidents, 1 involved an adult daughter who took the lives of her 2 parents. 2 involved a parent who took the life of their child, and in 1 case, also that child's mother. The other 2 involved young women, and I use that term very generously, because in 1 case, the child who lost her life was found after she did not arrive at her 8th grade graduation. So think about where you were and who you were in the 8th grade. If you have kids you love, think of them in the 8th grade. And the 2nd and 5th incident involved a young woman still in high school. So the face of what is happening is different. It is children and very, very young women that we need to be focused on. Children who are in homes where they're being touched by violence, where they are seeing violence. We know that much of what children see becomes learned behavior. We know that it's very hard to go to school and do well when you're worried about a parent at home. That has to be a focus for us. It has to be a focus around young women who are finding themselves in relationships where there is violence. About being adults and stepping in and helping to look at that relationship, to get them to a place of safety. And finally, and probably the most urgent issue, is the mental health piece. We know that funding is going to be cut on many of those programs. We know that we have made enormous strides in getting people to a place where they will admit they need help, and many people are getting help, but that is where we need to keep the pressure on. Because we stand at, I would suggest, a really pivotal place. We have come a great distance, and the distance we have to go is involving the future. It is our kids. It is the trauma that they should be protected from as children, and it is protecting their parents and the adults in their life so that they can be well and healthy and be little. It is important for kids to be little. And trauma and violence deprive them of that. So again, I congratulate everybody in this room for getting us to where we are. I ask you not to lose sight of where we need to go. And once again, I obviously commend the City of Lowell for continuing this tradition that is so incredibly important. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, DA Ryan, Mayor Rourke, and Maria. At this time, I would like to call up all of the Alternative House staff to stand with me as we do the pledge. Okay, and if you don't have a pledge, try to find a neighbor that you can share with. Okay. Thank you, everyone. And we are going to go ahead and commit to the White Ribbon Day Pledge. I pledge never to commit, condone, or remain silent about violence against women, children, intimate partners, and men. From this day forward, I promise to talk to family, friends, and coworkers about stopping violence in our community. I promise to encourage them to do the same. I promise to lead them by example. This white ribbon I am wearing will remind me of this pledge. Thank you all very much to all of our speakers, all of our dignitaries, the Alternative House team, and then everyone here in the community. Let's move forward and do good in the world. Thank you.